are 10 Amiga games that I've never played on an Amiga home computer, ranked in order from my worst to my absolute favourite. And by the way, I'm playing all of these on the A500 Mini. Let's get into it. Blob at number 10 on this list, which means unfortunately it is my least favourite. As you can see, Blob is a puzzle game with floating levels. There's really nice animation in this, and I will say that that was probably my only advantage of playing it. To be honest, I found it incredibly bland to look at and far too difficult. It's definitely a game that you need lots of patience for and lots of skill. Hand-eye coordination is essential, which for me, unfortunately, it's not one of those games I'm going to sit down to. So that's why I thought I'd give it a whirl and I'd present it to you guys. Next up is Gem X, which is another puzzle game that takes the form of a Tetris/columns kind of interface, as you can see. The aim of the game is definitely not simple. It took me a while to figure out. One of the sides of the screens is static and you take control of the left side, and the aim of the game is to match up the different sides. So you have to kind of click on things, move your puzzles around, or rather your pieces, and it can get a little bit frustrating. Needless to say, the sound effects were a little bit wishy-washy in areas as well. That's why I've placed Gem X at number 9. Hands up in the comments if you really enjoyed RoboCop films back in the day. Right here on the Amiga 500 Mini, we're diving into a bit of RoboCop 3, which is incredibly different to the Super Nintendo version, which is more of a side-scroller, much more of a fruitful and aesthetically pleasing game compared to this. Now, the aim of the game in this particular level is to apprehend the criminal. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see yourself on the map and you can see the criminal on the map, and you've got to drive around the roads until you can apprehend them. You use the controls, you actually use the mouse, if I get my words out, and these controls do take a little bit of getting used to. There's a lot of sensitivity on the mouse. So it's okay. It's okay. I thought it was quite revolutionary for its time, and that's why I wanted to give it a go. And there's also different levels where you're walking around on foot as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get that far. I had a bit of a disastrous attempt, but this is RoboCop 3. Whilst Chase HQ packs an absolute barrel of charm across many different platforms, the Amiga version is not too shabby. It's not overly great, it's not massively worth shouting about and encouraging you to download, and that's because it can feel a little bit slow. If you take a look at the speedometer in the top right hand corner, it's pretty fast. It didn't feel that fast at all. I don't know if it was just me or what. But nonetheless, when you catch up with the criminal, of which there are 5 to catch in order to smash through the game, or to complete it, you did start to feel a little bit more of a sense of urgency. So for me, the game's anticipation really did start to shine in these moments. But again, as you can see, the car, if you look at the turning from left to right, it's not very fluid in the slightest. Unfortunately, it just does lack that little bit of polish, but it is definitely worth putting it a nice solid 7 in this list. Let me know which platform you've played it on. Maybe you've played on it on the Master System. Maybe it's time for a Chase HQ reboot. But if you're a little bit bored and you want to have something new in your life, maybe consider getting Chase HQ for your Amigas now, or not. Moonstone is right down my street. Not only is this one of the best looking games on this list, it is a role-playing game in which you can either play yourself versus the computer, or fend up against 3 of your friends. Here you can pick a different colour, you've got just classic colours really, and then the overhead mapping, if you look very carefully you can see the knights moving and you all take turns to move to certain locations. Click into the locations and you can either fight, you can go into towns, you can do different things at locations including fighting monsters. Here we've met a different knight, we take battle. Do I win? Do I win? Do I heck? But rest assured, there's no permadeath here. This is not Dark Souls because we kind of traverse straight back into the map and we dive into one of the towns. In the towns, it's pretty cool. You can kind of meet different people. You can go to the tavern. You can upgrade your weapons. You can do a little bit of gambling in order to boost your gold. And it's good. It's really, really good. Unfortunately, I didn't get a massive amount of time to spend with it for this episode, but this is definitely the one that I want to go back to the most throughout my experience here of the 10. Halfway through, I thought I would like Blob a hell of a lot more, but unfortunately the controls were a little bit too lapsadaisical for my patience levels and I wasn't able to sit and relax as much as I wanted to, but I'm pretty sure you may have liked it or maybe you've liked some of the other games that we've already seen. But let's roll the next bunch of games. Desert Strike is an Amiga game that you guys have been begging for me to play ever since I've started doing lots of Amiga content, and whilst I've played it on the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, this was my first time on the Amiga. It looks really, really nice and sounds pretty decent too. Desert Strike is an isometric shoot-'em-up in which there are numerous missions on the map and prisoners of war that you need to rescue by flying over, which automatically drops the ladder down and you rescue said prisoner. Be careful though, because typically near your prisoners of war there's lots of hazards, albeit on foot, or these weird kind of cannon shooting things, whatever they are. You can tell that my military experience and knowledge definitely lacks here, but I can assure you that you're going to have fun with Desert Strike just like I did. It's absolutely wicked, and it took me right back to my 16-bit days whilst I was playing this on the Sega Mega Drive with my friends, and I do think I had my very own copy once because I do recall playing this alone in my bedroom as well back in the day. It's definitely worth a massive mention here. Let's rescue the princess, shall we? Or not? Prince of Persia is an awesome little game that reminds me very much of the mechanics of Flashback. The movement is quite janky, but it actually really works if you get your timings right and you can plan your jumps to avoid the dastardly spikes below. The same can be said for combat. It took me a while to get used to the combat because I kept getting hit and I was really struggling to block, but I did find a rhythm eventually and managed to kill those that stood in my way. This is a casual game despite you being against the clock, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my testing and I am looking forward to diving into this a little bit more depth when I'm not under pressure to get it all filmed. I feel like I've talked about top-down racing games a lot in my Amiga episodes, but Nitro really took me by surprise, and that's because it was a hell of a lot easier to control versus, say, the likes of Supercars, for example. This was therefore a hell of a lot more fun. You can play with your friends or you can play against the computer. I was using the gamepad for this entire playthrough. It was a load of fun. You need to collect your petrol tanks though, be warned, because if you run out of fuel the game ends. And believe you me, there's loads of differences in the tracks as well. There's even night tracks. There are 32 in total, and the higher you place the more points you get, but you obviously get more petrol as a little bit of a bonus for for placing relatively well in the races. So there is definitely a little bit of skill involved as well. I also like that there were some shortcuts, but be warned, if you do try to take them and you fail, it obviously becomes laborious and there's just no point. So for me, because I'm crap at taking shortcuts, I decided to just stick to the road that was in front of me and just put my foot down. In between races as well, you could titivate your car, you could maybe fill up some extra fuel or boost your traction, and I thought that was a really, really nice touch. In fact, this is probably a game that I'm going to ask Jess to come and play two-player with, because I think it will be an absolute blast. Fingers crossed, Jess, if you're watching this, you need to play a little bit of Nitro with me. We're going to let the rest of the gameplay that I recorded here play out for this, because I really enjoyed it and I think you guys will enjoy it too. Super Tennis Champs is another surprise for me. Now, I've talked about my love of Super Tennis on the Super Nintendo, and this is the closest thing that I could find that mimics that experience. You can play on different courts, you can play singles or doubles, exhibition, or dive straight into a championship, and I just find it so mindlessly fun. I would definitely suggest starting with doubles because your AI is actually an incredibly good player, which gives you an opportunity to get into those rallies and learn about moves and spaces. This is a wicked game, guys, and you've got to get it for your Amigas. Yo-Jo was my favourite game in this list. Packed full of colour, packed full of surprises, and packed full of adventure. You take the role of Joe, and immediately as the game starts, I love that this door opened into what seemed like a castle, and immediately my mind was racing with wonderment as to what is going to be lurking in here. And boy, was there a lot to these initial levels. There was swimming, you could kind of jump up and reach ledges, various enemies such as bats, zombies that pop out of crypts. I mean, it is packed full of charm, and the music is absolutely wicked as well. So Yo-Jo, get yourselves a copy of this because it's absolutely fantastic, guys. Let's get it. The Amiga 500 Mini is the gift that keeps on giving, and of course the Amiga is just a wonderful machine and a revolution for the British video game industry, and still by 2022 standards, I'm happy to be a part of this community, delivering you guys some awesome Amiga content and wider retro gaming content. So I would ask that you share your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a list of 10 games that you might think I could be possibly interested in, because I do use these comment sections as a massive reference point for ongoing episodes. Also, let me know what your favourite was out of that 10. I tried to mix it up between some sport, some isometric top-down helicopter games, love a bit of Desert Strike, and really enjoyed that actually overall. So thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, welcome. I will link every single Amiga episode I've ever done in the pinned comments and in the description, so go and check out more stuff from me. But if you don't like that, there's plenty more content here for you. Thanks guys, please subscribe, leave a like, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you soon. I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video.